Now, you are the owner of the longest lasting gay limousine service in San Francisco.
That's correct. 26 years.
You've met a lot of celebs.
Many, many. Oh, my God. In fact, right now, in the midst of writing a book, I'm calling it From the Back Seat. Little anecdotal stories of all the celebrities I've driven and truly enjoy.
You said that you once had the honor of transporting and working with, for a good many days, weeks, the one and only Claudette Colbert.
Oh, she was so sweet, God bless her. This was like in the very early stages of my business, and I got to drive her and Rex Harrison over the course of an entire month. They were in town doing a English comedy called Aren't We All? And she was everything. In fact, I have to admit, I just remembered I told her something that made her cry. My father, he should rest in peace, never admitted to enjoying any other woman, of course, but my mother. But he did say at one point, I don't remember him talking about anyone else, he loved Claudette Colbert. And I told this to her, and she cried like a baby. Oh, that was so sweet. And when she first got out of the car for the first time, I looked down. Her legs were so beautiful. It looked like she had just popped out of the movie It Happened One Night.
And by this time, Claudette Colbert was no spring chicken.
No, but she looked great. And I had a feeling that maybe she had some gay tendencies, because after the show every night, we would always go out with the gay crowd, and I'd take her to the gay bars. But one thing also was interesting. It was Christmas during that time, and she was on her way to see our famous President Reagan. And it was right in the heyday, unfortunately, of AIDS. And I said, by the way, Miss Colbert, please, if you don't mind, teach President Reagan the word AIDS. He's never mentioned it. He never has supported it thus far. She said, oh, you got to be kidding. I said, no, you find out. And when you come back from the White House and your trip to D.C., you'll ask me if I was right or not. So sure enough, I asked her what was doing. She said, you know, Don, you're right. He didn't want to talk about it. And they were very good friends. But that was the story. It was an unfortunate situation, but she at least was made aware of what he wasn't doing.
Now, of all the celebrities that you have worked with and transported over the years, who was your favorite?
I would have to say, though, if I was pressed to it, it would probably have to be Shirley MacLaine.
From my hometown, Richmond, Virginia.
Oh, is that right?
Absolutely.
And did you know that her mother named her after Shirley Temple,
yes,
who I've also driven? But that's another story. But Shirley MacLaine in 1987 was in town doing her meditation tour. And we had it over at Moscone. It wasn't that old a building at the time. And also coincided with Gay Pride Week. So she asked me to sit into the lecture. And to me, it's, in Yiddish we say mishigas. It was craziness, but I wanted to be polite. I sat, I listened, she came out. Don, she said, what did you think of the lecture? So just to kibitz, just to be funny, I said, remember, Om is where the heart is. She loved it. Well, the next day, she tells the people, ladies and gentlemen, I want to tell you something. My driver was inspired yet, not kibitzing, but inspired. Om is where the heart is. Well, they applauded like I was a guru. They knew now who this guy was in the back of the room. We're on our way back to the hotel the second day. I said, Miss MacLaine, you do me such an honor. She said, why is that? She said, you like my line? She said, yes. Well, you know, this is the beginning of the tour. Are we going to use this, or are you going to use this during the rest of the tour? She said, oh, of course, I love it. And I'm driving and I'm saying, what are we going to do about the royalties?
I was about to say.
She shut up like a clam. I got nervous. I said, listen, in lieu of all the royalties, you can do me one favor. She says, what's that? I said, just give me one night with your brother. Warren?
The divine Warren.
Warren Beatty.
Now listen, how did a nice MBA student like you from Long Island, I think you joked that it was Long Island when it was still one word, Long Island, how did you end up in San Francisco, and why?
At a Chamber of Commerce meeting, I met the owner of a limousine service.
Here in San Francisco?
Here in San Francisco. I was a member of the Chamber of Commerce at the time, and I thought, wow, that sounds like fun. And I asked if he needed help. He did. I worked part-time, nights and weekends. And after 2.5 months, I loved it so much, I quit what I was doing. I think I was running a temporary personnel business at the time. Quit that, and I went full-time with this guy. And then maybe 2.5 years later, I decided this is what I enjoyed the most. This was my raison d'etre. This is what I was meant to do, because I love it so much. And then I started my own business.
And the rest is history. Now, that was 1978 when you came here to San Francisco.
But it was in '84 that I started the business.
But those years between 78 and 84, was that when you came out, did being here during the heyday of Harvey Milk being supervisor and all of that, did that change your life?
Harvey Milk was a friend of mine.
Tell me about it.
I got to meet him. It was only a short time because I moved here in June 1st of '78, and he was killed, unfortunately, in November. But I got to meet him in many different occasions, him being another New Yorker and another Jew. So we had a little simpatico there. But I didn't come out during those years. I mean, I was an old fart already by then. I had come out years earlier. It wasn't San Francisco.
So what was it like in 1978? I mean, how was it different? I mean, having the memories of all the celebrities you've driven in those years, what's something you remember from those times?
Well, again, the celebrity business with my service didn't start till '84, but in the earlier days, it was just so much fun. I was like Linda Blair walking down Castro Street. My head was just spinning, and all my friends says, "Don't worry, you'll start being a little more jaded," and I'm still turning. But it was fun. Polk Street was a nicer street than it is now. Later, it would move over to Castro Street because of all the troubles that ensued when they closed it down for Halloween and other such holidays. And then later, the crowd would move to Castro Street. But then, of course, in the early '80s, when AIDS epidemic ensued, that's when everything started to fall apart.
Now, clearly, you're really shy and have a difficult time being on camera.
It's so
I know.
hard.
So I'm working on bringing you out, but. Tell
me, when I get rid of my shyness and my humility, I'll be all right.
You'll be fine. Have you ever met someone in the back of your limo that just made you say, I don't have a comeback for that? Someone who was either so star-studded that you just couldn't believe it, or someone who was rude to you?
Well, I've never been shy. I've never been intimidated by anybody. But when you talk about being rude, it was Madonna. I hate to say that. I'm sure your viewers love her to death. When I'm of a generation, I could care less. But I was never so mistreated as she did to me. She actually treated me like a driver. Can you imagine? But I was doing, back then, talk about nostalgia, I was doing an AIDS Dance-a-thon event. That was a big event then. We don't have them anymore. And it was usually held over at Moscone, and they would hire a celebrity host or hostess to bring in, to be the draw and bring in the crowd. Well, this particular time, it was Madonna. And I asked the producers of the show, is there anything particularly she would like to drink in the car? I wanted to be prepared. They said, no, we don't know of anything. I said, you sure? Yes. So I pick her up. She gets into the car with her friends, and she says, you got anything to drink? And she's talking like a New Yorker. She's from the Detroit area. I'm from New York, and I don't even talk like that. But I put on the dog. I said, no, Madonna, I'm sorry. The producers didn't tell me you wanted anything. She says, what are these glasses here for? She points to my bar. I said, these glasses are there for the drink. We're on our way to the city. She says, well, what would you be able to give me? I said, anything you like. She says, how about water? I said, fine. I said, what kind of water would you like, Madonna? She says, I'd like clean water. Just being a... I said, you know, you're lucky. That's the only kind of water I serve in my car. Is there any particular kind of interesting clean water you'd like? She said, yeah, I'd like Evian. And then I got out of character. I said, oh, my God. I said, I often drive Elizabeth Taylor, which I did back then. Unfortunately, she's not so well now. And I said, I always give Evian water to Elizabeth Taylor. She says, well, I don't give a shit about Elizabeth Taylor. I want it. Now, by this time, we already arrived at the hotel. She gets inside to get all putzed up and dressed. I go to the bartender. I said, listen, I need Evian water. He gave me the glass bottles, not the plastic. I set it up in the bar. I origami the napkins. I put the lights on, the ice. Everything is terrific. 9 hours later, at the end of the evening, she didn't drink a drop.
She hadn't touched it.
I just want to quickly say, so we drop her off at the hotel. I said, Madonna, I thought you were thirsty. She says, oh, I changed my mind. And I said, I hope it works better.
In our last few seconds, tell me, the one star, the one celeb that you haven't driven yet that you'd like to.
Barbara, our Jewish saint. I even went to Martin Ehrlichman's office down in L.A. My middle name is Martin. I'm Jewish. I'm gay. I brought my 1964 playbill from Funny Girl. It said Tuesday was her favorite day in the week. It was a Tuesday, and I still was thrown out of the office.
Barbara, if you're watching, or your wonderful gay son, the next Tuesday you're in town, have I got a driver for you. Next, we're going to speak with Jennifer Morris about what's up at this year's Frameline LGBT Film Festival. We'll be right back.